And we are back with the fourth segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. And today, we are going to, in this fourth segment, we're going to talk about CJ Stroud's all-time starting five and give my opinions on that list, and as well give my starting five and why I think my starting five is by far the best starting five ever assembled. So, with that in mind, let's go ahead and get into CJ Stroud's starting five. Actually, hold on a minute. Before I do that, I actually have an update. So Steph Curry and Ayesha Curry, they're apparently expecting a fourth child. So, I mean, I'm just going to throw that out there just because, like, I'm going to bring up Steph anyway. But, yeah, they're expecting another child. The update just came in. A tweet just went out, and I happened to look at it, and that's what it said. So, that's what's going on with Steph and his scenario and his situation. But let's go ahead and talk about CJ Stroud and his lineup and what I think about it and exactly where it stands. So if you guys don't know who CJ Stroud is, he participated in the celebrity game in All-Star Weekend. He's a quarterback. He's a rookie quarterback for the Houston Texans, and he's just came off as having one of the best rookie seasons for a quarterback that I've seen in a while. And he ended up winning a playoff game as well. So obviously, he had a great season. He's a great football player, and he's also a baller. Like he could also play ball. So his starting lineup, I'm just going to pull it up real quick. And his starting lineup consists of Steph Curry, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, Dirk Nowitzki, and Shaq. So this starting lineup it's a little bit odd because he picked the second best players at every single position. For example, at point guard, Steph Curry, the best point guard of all time is for a lot of people is Magic Johnson. And well, I don't really disagree with having Steph Curry in the lineup because of his shooting. A lot of people might disagree just because of his defense. And I understand that Steph Curry's defense is not as reliable as someone who's tall as Magic Johnson, even though Magic didn't really have that as good of a defense as a lot of people say that he has. They overhype Magic and his defense. But regardless, well, there's the argument that Steph Curry isn't even the best point guard in NBA history. So that's one. Two, Kobe Bryant. You guys know that I have I really like Kobe Bryant, and you guys, wow, this is interesting. Okay, so Crucial PG in the chat, he said Curry over Magic on the defense. Wow, he thinks Curry is a better defender than Magic, and I somewhat could see that just because Curry, he's really good at steals and whatnot, but at the same time, most of the time, he doesn't guard ball and he ends up guarding the corner. So I wouldn't really put Crucial BG in this said in the chat, Magic couldn't guard a tree. That's a little disrespectful. I'm not even gonna lie, but given how obviously defense back then, a lot of people say it was tougher, but the average defender back then and the average player back then is not better than the average player now. So I could see an argument for that, but at the same time it's a little bit iffy because Magic's frame and his height, it makes it a lot more difficult for a lot of the shorter guards to be able to do anything. And I understand your point where he literally he couldn't guard he wasn't that good on the defensive end as people say he was, but again, you'd rather it's an argument between height, over someone who doesn't really have that much height, and obviously you'd rather have somebody that's a little bit taller, defending a point guard because it'll disrupt the point guard a lot more. And moving on to Kobe Bryant, you guys know that I have a very strong opinion towards Kobe Bryant. He's one of my favorite basketball players ever, but I am not one of those delusional Kobe fans that's going to say that he was better than Michael Jordan. Because Kobe, he had his game, literally molded after Michael Jordan. And while he was the closest thing to Michael Jordan, he wouldn't have been where he was without him. That's one. And two, Michael Jordan also shot a lot more efficiently, not from three than Kobe, but he shot a lot more efficiently than Jordan. He's a better finisher around the rim. Like, his name is Air Jordan, for Christ's sakes. Like, obviously, Jordan is the better shooting guard between the two. And Crucial PG has something else to say in the chat. NBA 2K clouds people's minds on Magic's defense. Honestly, like, I do have to agree with that, because I don't really talk about 2K that much, obviously, but on 2K, Magic's ratings, they're really high on in terms of defense. And a lot of people that watch basketball, like, they obviously play NBA 2K. So when they see that Magic's defense was good, has good ratings in the game, they immediately assume that, like, oh, he must have been a great defender back in the day. But that's not true at all. And a lot of the stats that 2K puts in are a little bit skewed. Like, for example, they give Tim Duncan a very high 3-point rating. Last time I checked, Tim Duncan was not that good of a shooter. Last time I checked, like, from three at least. Like, he could shoot a little bit from three, but he wasn't like a laser 3-point shooter like how in the game he is and whatnot. So obviously, like, 2K, like, it clouds a lot of people's perceptions on, like, a lot of basketball and a lot of takes in basketball. So I definitely agree with that in terms of overhyping Magic's defense. And Kevin Durant is like the only player that I could really respect being in the lineup. And even then, I don't respect Kevin Durant being in the lineup, because where's LeBron? Like, where's LeBron? He's not there. The top two players in NBA history aren't on your all-time list. Like, are you serious? Like, and Dirk Nowitzki. You want to talk about someone who couldn't guard a tree. Dirk Nowitzki. It was incredibly slow on his feet, and he was LeBron or okay. There's something more in the chat. I'll go ahead and I'll talk about that a little bit. But after, I just want to talk about Dirk for a little bit. Dirk, again, like, I talked about how the lineup isn't second, like, is literally like the second best players at each position. Dirk Nowitzki, like, he's the second best power forward ever. I'm surprised he didn't put Tim Duncan on this list as one of the better, like, like, on this lineup, because Tim Duncan is by far a better power forward than Dirk. And Shaq in the lineup, obviously, like, I think Shaq in the lineup, definitely, like, without a doubt, the best player in that lineup, and with how dominant he was. And I have somebody, Crucial PG asked me a question in the chat: LeBron or Larry Legend? Obviously, I'm going to pick LeBron James. Like, it's a no-brainer there. And there's no argument for LeBron not being over Larry Bird at this point. So, LeBron, easily. And so, other than that, the starting lineup is, like, it's a little bit weak. So, I don't really like it. I really don't like it. Just because of, like, I like Kobe in the lineup, obviously. But at the same time... Oh, you're saying, over KD. Oh, okay, that's my part. Crucial PG, like, he, instead of saying, like, LeBron or Larry, like, he wasn't asking me that question. He was saying that instead of Kevin Durant in the lineup, it should have been either Larry Bird or LeBron James. And honestly, yes, I can get by that. I think Larry Bird's, like, career is definitely, like, without a doubt one of the best. And given how, like, I understand, like, his teams were ridiculously stacked, but I mean, he won the MVP like 3 straight years. So it's like, it's really difficult to compete against someone with that kind of resume. And the fact that his defense was also pretty good and his playmaking was also pretty good as well. But obviously, like, a lot of people, like, they have a strong opinion towards KD because KD is super tall and he can hit a jump shot over any defender, which is true. But his postseason resume and his playoff career, aside from Golden State, is incredibly lacking. And I feel like Larry Bird definitely has that edge over him. That's just my personal opinion, though. And my starting five, it's a little bit odd, honestly. My starting five is a little bit, I will give it that. It's a little bit weird, but I'll give you my reasonings for why I have the starting five the way I do. And it's not entirely decisive, because, like, I am a little bit indecisive on, like, who I'd want on my team. But for point guard, LeBron James, you knew that was coming. Shooting guard, Kobe Bryant. Small forward, MJ. Power forward is between. Actually, you know what? Yeah, power forward is going to be between like KD or Kawhi Leonard, one of those two. I'm still not entirely sure who I would put in that starting lineup, but it's between Kawhi and Kevin Durant. And for center, it's between Shaq and Tim Duncan. And it really depends on like the reason why like I flip flop between those two is because like it depends on like the lineup that I'd want to run. So Crucial PG says something in the chat. He said, as a Clippers fan, you don't want Kawhi at the power forward. He's much better at the three. But no, like this is the thing. Like this is what I'm going to explain here. So LeBron James is multi-position. He can play 1 through 5, meaning he can guard the 1 through 5, and you can put him anywhere while at the same time having him run the point guard and bring the ball up. He could be the power forward while Kawhi is the small forward, and Kobe and Michael Jordan are the guards. Like, and they can still have that really good lineup that and a very solid defensive lineup. And depending on which center, like I'm still unsure of like which center I'd want, because Tim Duncan, like he has the defense and he also has the spacing, which I think will open up a lot of things for every single one of these players in the lineup, as opposed to having Shaq in the lineup. But at the same time, if you have Shaq in the lineup, there's literally nothing that anybody can do to guard him. So it's a little bit, it's a flip-flop between like Tim Duncan and Shaq, in my personal opinion. And Crucial PG also had something to say in the chat. He said no Kareem at the 5. And yeah, like no Kareem at the 5. Like I understand that Kareem is by far, he's probably like he's the best center in NBA history. Well, I'll give him that. Best center in NBA history, but I personally just don't think he will mesh well in the lineup. And that's why I have Tim Duncan in that lineup, because you also have to like create, well, it can't just be like a team full of like the best players at each position. They all have to like be able to help each other, and they all have to like mesh well with each other. And part of that is like I put Kobe and like MJ there. Like while they both might be like super selfish, they aren't entirely selfish. Like they were only selfish because they felt that their team was unreliable, because they weren't putting in the work like they were putting in the work, if that makes sense. At least that's with Kobe's case. Kobe did not like relying on his teammates because he saw them in practice. He saw them day in and day out and how seriously they were taking the game. And the fact that they weren't taking it as seriously as him, I mean, come on, waking up at 3 o'clock to go to the gym, obviously, like his opinions are going to sour and he's going to be selfish. But if you put both of those players on a team with all of the great players that all have the dedication and they all have that work ethic, then it's only going to speak good news. And like we've seen Kobe like on Team USA be able to play with other great players and be able to mesh well. Like Kobe doesn't have a problem not being the scorer, because there was this one time on Team USA where he was talking to, like, he was saying that he was going to impress Coach K. He was very passive on the offensive side of the ball, and he wasn't shooting. He was playing defense, and he was showing like his dominance like through his defense. And Coach K got upset. It was like, yeah, I get that you're great at defense, but can you shoot the ball? And that was like, Kobe said that was the first player that told him to shoot the ball, like the first coach that told him shoot the ball more. And it's honestly pretty funny. But Crucial PG had more to say in the chat. Kobe gonna want Shaq. Kobe gonna want to trade Shaq. Honestly, like that's part of the reason why I don't want Shaq in that lineup, because the Kobe and Shaq beef between each other. And I will say that in the beginning of Kobe's career, yes, Kobe was selfish. He was playing incredibly selfish, and the starting lineup that with Shaq in the starting lineup and like going to the finals, Kobe wanted a finals MVP, and it was clear cut that he wanted to be the player to win the series and be the best player on the championship team. And he ended up shot chucking his way into doing that, and that's how they ended up losing in 2004. And I will admit, back early on, yes, Kobe was selfish, and like he's young. I don't really expect, like, what do you expect from a young player? Like, obviously they're going to try to be selfish and try to get all the glory, especially after being like second fiddled to somebody who doesn't even put in as much work as you do, who is just naturally great at the game. Like, obviously that would upset anyone who like wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning and sees Shaq out partying, but like it doesn't matter because Shaq is so dominant that he can still get you 30. And like obviously it would rub him the wrong way. And that's why I would rather like have someone like Tim Duncan in that lineup, where like Tim Duncan doesn't really say much. He's like straight as an arrow. And like winning basketball, and he doesn't care about his own numbers. Winning basketball, and I like players that have that mindset, and to be able to pair him up with the spacing like that he gives, because he can shoot the mid range, so he can also provide spacing. It allows Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Kawhi Leonard, and LeBron, who are all phenomenal finishers, to be able to finish without a problem. And I honestly think that lineup, not only is it great offensively, but it's also incredibly balanced on the defensive side of the ball, because you have Kobe Bryant at the 1, you have Michael Jordan at the 2, you have Kawhi at the 3, you have LeBron at the 4. All of those players can switch on every single screen, and all of them can play elite defense. And we have a lot more things. Crucial has a lot more to say in the chat. Crucial PG says, Tim is one of my favorites all time just because people don't talk about how great he was. Anchored that defense for pretty much his entire career. Yes, like that's exactly why I'd want. And Tim Duncan, like, he's also relatively quick on his feet, and he's an incredible rim protector. And I would like to have that player at in the starting lineup. And he's also flip-flop between like power forward and center going into his career, so he can totally play the 5. He is by far the he has an argument for being one of the best centers of all time if you put him at that 5. But like a lot of people would put him at the 4 just because like he's clear-cut the best power forward if you put him at the 4. And with that in mind, I would have that as my starting lineup. It would be Kobe, MJ, either Kawhi or KD, LeBron, and Tim Duncan. And LeBron would bring the ball up and be that point guard. Like, you don't need a point guard when you have LeBron James, because LeBron James has the ability to be a point guard. We've seen it before, and he's always going to make the right play. And like, I understand like LeBron is a great scorer, but if he's surrounded by great scorers, like, he's obviously going to give them the ball and he's going to allow them to do what they do best. And I really think that lineup would actually be super unstoppable. I think that lineup is unstoppable, because what answer can you give to either of those players on both sides of the ball? What answer can you give to them? And Crucial PG had something else to say in the chat. He actually was listed at center for a longer part of his career than he was at power forward. Yes, exactly. It's just like we put him at the power forward because like he's clear cut the best power forward, and it's like I think it's more of like a notoriety thing, because it's like, I don't know, honestly, like, I don't know why we put him at the power forward instead of putting him at center. I think maybe because like there's already been a lot of great centers. Putting Tim Duncan in that conversation with the centers just makes the argument even more difficult on who are the best centers in NBA history. So I think putting him at power forward just makes it a lot easier. And even then, like, a lot of people still forget about Tim Duncan, given how like he wasn't really like, I don't want to say he wasn't popular, but like he didn't really say much. Again, straight as an arrow. He didn't really say much. So, and I'm not even going to lie, we haven't really heard from him since his retirement, like, from the Spurs. Like, I mean, I personally don't really see him on the media all that much. I usually only see him when, like, he does something egregious and whatnot. But with that, and with that great conversation, we are out of time for the 4th segment. So thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you once again. And as always, before I end this segment, I'd like to remind everybody, please go ahead and check the link to get your comments recognized. And the link is, hold on, I'm just looking for it right now. It's displayed below the ticker, and it's also in the link of every single show of the show. That is gsmcpodcast.net. And you just go to that just so you can get your comments recognized. And that is it for this show. Once again, I am your host, Nelson, and as always, take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.